What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Today, we're going to be looking at the Kansept Cosmos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, what we're doing today with the Cosmos, you know the drill. Size comparisons, profile comparison, weight, thoughts, and impressions. Let's kick it off with those profile comparisons. Here's a comparison against my 2023 budget knife of the year, the Miguron Moyal. I love this one a lot. Great knife. And then we're going to bring out the Civivi Bull Tusk. Both of these coming in well under 75 bucks. And there you go. You can see the Cosmos is definitely as long as the full-size knife, but has a more slender profile overall than both the knives on the table. Let's go ahead and move the Bull Tusk to the side. Bring out the Spyderco Shaman for my USA comparisons. Very comparable to the PM2 as well. And we're going to move the Moyal out of the way and bring in the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. And with the Applied Weapon Tech scales, kind of a very similar profile on the handle part side of it. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and bring out the measurements here for those that are more into the technical specs. Got to get that Moyal out of the way. So going from the blade handle, you have a total length of 8.2 inches, a blade length of just over 3.5 inches, and a cutting edge of 3.2 inches. So there are your measurements in case the size comparisons don't help you. And we're going to do close profile, side profile, and then we'll check the weight. Let me do pocket clips up. I always feel like it leans at an angle and you guys probably really can't see it. Let's use the Bull Tusk because with the flipper tab, I think that's kind of comparable. So you can see there, it's kind of close. It's kind of close to the Para 3 at its tallest point. And then with the flipper tab, close to the Bull Tusk. Let's move these two out of the way and grab the scale. Doesn't feel like a very heavy knife, if I'm honest with you. Feels like something around 3.5 ounces, but it is fuller size, so it could be throwing me off. I swear I didn't look it up, guys. Y'all are going to be like, yeah, he looked it up. I really didn't. I was estimating, expecting it to be kind of around that particular weight. Oh, profile. That's what we didn't do. Profile. It is a slightly more chunky knife, which I like because that slender profile does help. Let's do the Para 3 because I think that'll be a good one too. So you see it has a little bit more girth to it, but with that slender profile, I think that's what helps with the ergos is it being a little bit more of a chunky knife. Action on this one, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's definitely dialed for the flipper tab, and it feels like it's on the verge of being a guillotine. You saw where I kind of tilted it there for it to close. I don't think without doing that, it'd close all the way. No play. No lock rock whatsoever. It has, oh, it's tucked. The lock bar is tucked and it's really hard to see down in there. And I think this is on medium because I was using this for something else. So let me go into Moonlight and see if I can, no, I need a little bit more light, guys. A little bit more light. No, it's not too early. Looks like it's coming in at around about 40% lockup. Damn, it's going to focus on the light. Maybe back the light out. See if I can get the angle. There you go. Right? About 40%. It's probably really hard to tell from there for that lockup. And there's a little bit of oil on the lock bar. It is a pass around knife. So for me, I'm not really going to spine whack test these. They're not my knives. And I am grateful that I'm a part of the pass around. Shout out to Kevin for having that pass around. Lefty EDC, if you guys don't know who he is, you definitely should check his channel out. It's very entertaining, and he gets access to a lot of stuff, which is a great way for most of us that don't have those affiliations because we're not a big channel. Gives us a great opportunity to kind of look at these. So titanium bolsters, titanium backspacer, titanium pocket clip. Can't tell. Feels like it's, yeah, it's steel hardware. I'm picking up the hardware a little bit. All steel hardware. So not bad at all as far as the materials that you're getting with it. It is S20V, so I'm excited to see them moving away from S20V. And I'm looking it up real quick because I totally forgot to look it up before we started. So starting around $200, but I pulled up one that's out of stock. Oh man, both of them are out of stock. So it actually starts at $180 if you get my card instead of the carbon fiber, and then the carbon fiber versions are $200. Ergos, I'm not gonna lie, looking at the knife, it did a Kaiser Roach Kunwu Padre on me. I was kind of like, is that really gonna be comfortable? And then I got it in hand. Back here, it's okay. I don't like that I slide off the back with the pinky, but when you put it in the hands choked up and you have your finger ramped up on here, it doesn't feel like a dedicated for choil. That feels like a sharpening choil that has enough clearance for you to choke up. Very comfortable, tons of space. It was very comfortable while cutting. And then here, I land for me right on the ramp. I think medium to large hands would be okay. I don't think you'll have that issue, but honestly, like that trigger pull position where you have this in the trigger type position, it's super comfortable. And even when you got to choke up and kind of move past that first knuckle up to the second knuckle, you're in a really good spot here. I like the transitions on this one here. The only spot that you really kind of feel a little bit of sharpness in the open position when the lock is engaged. You feel a little bit there on the scale. You don't feel anything around the pocket clip. You feel a little bit of the transition up here. It feels like they just messed it up on this particular one, so it might not be with all of them. But everything else feels really nice. The screws are nicely tucked away. All the radius and chamfered parts here are really well done. Because it is a titanium liner with the scales on top, there's no relief cutting, but at 3.5 ounces, it's still a really good weight for just over 3.5 inches of cutting edge. Really cool. Good jimping. It's not aggressive, but it's not flat or unuseful. It works. It could be a little bit more aggressive, but that I think comes down to personal preference for me. Really fantastic Warncliffe blade shape here. Good thin geometry behind the edge. It did really well in the little sample size cutting that I did. You got okay access to the lock bar. For me, it's easier to kind of slide it and close it than it is to come in from the side here. It's very tight for me. I have to really dig into it to get it. And then lifting up, really comfortable. Like that is definitely the easiest way of all of these. I wish they could have maybe radiused this down slightly or left just a slight bit more material here to get in the middle, because with the larger fingers, it's a little bit harder to do. You definitely have caged ceramic bearings on the inside as opposed to the stamped. I've noticed that a lot of Kansept knives here lately have done like the plastic cage with the ceramic balls, which I prefer over the stamped because I feel like it's a little bit more of a solid pivot. You do have a captive pivot, T8 hardware, T6 hardware. I'm okay with that because it's on the inlay, which really doesn't need to be bolted down. I can't disassemble this one. My hope is that if they're still doing T6 in here, that they move to T8. If they've moved to T8, great. I'm sorry I can't do the disassembly. It's not mine. I would love to be able to do that for those out there on this one. But let's kick it down to the garage and look at the cutting performance. Okay, we're in the garage. Let's check out how the Cosmos rolls through the cut test. A little bit of tearing, but feels good. Feels good. It probably needs a strop. It is a pass around, so keep that in mind. Very thin blade stock, tall flat grind for as shallow or short as it is. And we got our single ply cardboard. Again, it's a pass around, so I can't do a ton of cutting with it, but let's just see how it moves through the material. Nice. Yeah, it feels like it goes through the material good. I know probably not as satisfying of a cut test, guys, but it is a pass around knife, and I don't want to use that too much. Generally, I have found that Kansept does a really good job with their S35 yen, and they seem to continue to do so with their 20 CV. So just a little quick sample. It's very odd looking ergonomically, but ergonomically it's actually really comfortable, guys. I'm gonna kick it back up to the desk. And as you can see, really nice factory edge. I can't do like any sort of prolonged over sample size cutting with this one. If they do their 20 CV like they were doing their S35N, then it'll perform well. If not, you're going to have to strop it. It'll be very tough. It won't chip, but it won't hold an edge forever. But if it's if it's a little bit softer, even with 20 CV, it's still going to perform really well. You're going to see better than mid-tier, well done 14C28N Nitro V 154 cm. I think it'll outperform those as far as how long it'll hold an edge, but it just won't be at its maximum. Very beautiful static wash. I know I hadn't hit on that yet. Kansept does a really nice job with the static wash. It's, they polish it and then they take it and stone wash it. I really like that a lot. I think it's a very nice look. It doesn't get super fingerprinty. Of course, if you're really oiled up or dirty, it'll throw some fingerprints on there, but it's really not that bad. It doesn't have a reversible pocket clip to keep the show side clean, so no love for the lefties out there. It did go in and out of the pocket really nice. I like their ramped titanium pocket clips. They go in and out of the pocket really nicely. So I like that. They got good retention, good spring. It's a good length. Not much there hanging on the outside of the pocket as far as the material. Not leaving a ton out of the pocket either. So that's nice. No detent lash. A little soft on the detent. I think you could potentially tune this to be a little bit more aggressive, but it is very satisfying on the deployment. And because it's not too strong of a detent, you can kind of dig your fingernail low to get some leverage on it and kind of push into the knife and flick it out. So there's that going for it. Coming in at $200, there's quite a few things out there that I can recommend as alternatives to this one. Just to throw a few out for size comparisons, you have the Miguron Miro. That's coming in at about $200, all titanium, M390, compound ground with a hollow grind. You got multiple means of deployment, ceramic stamp bearings, and the pivot. You also have the Vosteed Datsun, which I really, really like. It has a Wharncliffe type blade like you see on the Cosmo. It's more reverse Tonto though, in my opinion. Really well done. Kind of a comparable size. You have multiple means of deployment versus, with the Kansept, you have to flick it off the blade to make it dual means of deployment. But I really like this from a comparison perspective. It is listed at $230, but they've kept to the point. Up to this point, they've kept a coupon out there where you get 10% off. So I think it makes it around like $209 or $219 or something to that effect. But I really like this one. I installed magnets, but truth be told, it really doesn't need it. I just like a more stout detent for that front flipper. And the magnets give it that for me, because with the larger hands, I want to be able to kind of ramp up before I flip it. And those magnets really allow for that. So I really like that comparison. And then last but certainly not least are going to be your S-Towels, towels. Those are like $239, but they're coming with Vanex, which is a very exciting steel, and they're coming extremely well heat treated. So, there's a couple of difference. You could look at the Django, Padre, the towels. I thought there was another one out there, but I'm blanking. The Pulsar, which would be a little bit smaller. Some of those are crossbar lock knives, and they have put heavier springs on there. But truth be told, if you don't like crossbar locks, I don't know that a crossbar lock knife, even with a strong detent, properly placed thumb studs, are going to ever scratch your itch. You're going to want that detent so that you can ramp up and flick it. And I don't know that these type of knives with crossbar locks, sorry, grabbed the wrong one at first, are going to be the ones that do it for you, no matter how good and how well tuned they are. So just keep that in mind when I make those recommendations. What do you think about the Cosmos? I think it's a cool design. I like to see that Kansept's doing cool things. I'm glad to see that they're switching it up from S35EN. I'm grateful for that. I know other manufacturers out there use 20CV, but it's variety. It's variety. So if you don't lean towards one character trait of a steel to another, this will give you options, which is all we ever want. It doesn't always have to be wild. It just has to be different. I think the variety is very much appreciated. Well, let me know what you think about the Cosmos down in the comments below, guys. Shout out to everyone out there that likes, uses those links, leaves those comments. It all helps the channel. Shout out to my channel members. You're going to get that early access. I appreciate all the support. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.